Hello, hola, and buenas, buenas. Welcome back to La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast made with love. Well, it's sad but true. After 104 matches across 3 countries and almost a month and a half, there is a new champion, and we have to say enhorabuena to los campeones Spain, who won the World Cup final yesterday. There's a bit more bad news, especially if you're a Galaxy fan, as the Galaxy came back for the second half of the season, not with a bang, but with a whimper, as they were embarrassed at home by an XG and their city rivals. We'll look at that loss and the fallout ahead of the Galaxy's midweek home match against St. Louis City. Plus, is the Galaxy really in for an exiled Mexican star? All of that and more coming up on tonight's episode of La Cuna Galaxiana. DJ Cito, you know what to do. Spin that track. G's up.
Yeah, let's get it started with a new year, new me. Cuna Galaxiana still reporting on the news feed, yeah. And you know who it be, the 6 stars on the jersey, putting work in the league. Word on the street, we rip teams immaculately. We see the players come and go, but I'm forever a G. And you can catch me yelling tactics on the field when I leave. Get it together like I'm Vanny when I'm giving a speech. Back to the pitch, score goals, dribbling tricks. I heard a transfer window rumor, let me see who it is. I got statistics on the player, puzzle pieces that fit. Con este show que es tan bilingüe que tu papi lo ve. Rápido pues, hablando de este club otra vez. En las buenas y en las malas, we got love for the crest, love for LA. Let's get it started, light up the stage. Every week on Monday night I'm tuning into the place. Yeah, you know what it is. It's La Cuna Galaxiana, 4th season, Rob Ananda. And my name, ya te lo sabes.
Welcome back to La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love. And I feel like you guys need it today because not only are we going through the withdrawals of not having the World Cup anymore, but if you're a Galaxy fan, you are also going through the withdrawal of not getting 3 points in El Tráfico. And we're going to be talking about that today, a game that Ananda called El Trágico, which is, kudos to him, props. Anyway, we would like to introduce ourselves. I'm one of your co-hosts. As always, my name is Rob Halon. You can find my written work at the Sporting Tribune, and you can find me online at El Escudero de LA. And, of course, wearing that Campeón red top to celebrate Spain being champions of the 2026 World Cup is my co-host and, yes, a champion, but most importantly, El Papa de Natita, Ananda Kirana. Papa, let's save all the World Cup stuff because we're going to talk about it.
Really? Damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to talk about that more than the other thing, but that's okay.
But I want to give it. I don't want to just do a one word about that. I want to give it the moment, So I'm not going to ask you how you feel about the World Cup. I'm not going to ask you how you feel about El Tráfico because we're also going to talk about that. But does it feel weird that the World Cup's over? Like, I mean, I'm certainly feeling like I'm going through withdrawals.
It was fun, right? It was super fun. Like, remember like how we were kind of complaining about the expanded format and stuff, but we said too, like, as soon as the ball gets kicked and as soon as the tournaments start, like, you're going to enjoy the beautiful game for what it is. I mean, I remember having this conversation when we had Evan on, when we had some of those guests on for Mundialista. And yeah, man, it turned out to be so fun. Like, I'm going to miss watching like 4 games in a day, right? Having to, dip out of my lunch breaks and like trying to figure out how I can watch these games and all that stuff. So, but man, it was just, I mean, of course there's a lot on social media out there, positive and negative, but I took a lot of the positives out of it. And of course you were at a couple games. I ended up going to a game after I was being a Scrooge about it, because Spain was going to play in LA. And I was like, I can't miss that. Although I would have, if I had to pick one, I would probably wish I would have gone to the Belgium one, because that was super interesting, but no, it was awesome. And yeah, in the end, my team won. So there you go. We'll talk about that later. I'll save all the good stuff for later.
Well, yeah, you know me, Ananda. You know I'm kind of contrarian, and also we would be remiss to only talk about the good and none of the negative that existed around this World Cup. And yes, like you said, there was a lot of good. I mean, I got to experience one of the core moments in my life, known as the Miracle of New Jersey, as Ecuadorians are calling it. Really, really, just a beautiful moment, and I'm glad to have experienced it. I mean, you are currently World Cup champion, you know, but we also have to be able to, walk and chew at the same time, and we also got to remember all the other bad stuff that exists around this World Cup. I mean, for one, it was definitely the most commercialized World Cup in World Cup history. I mean, I FIFA was estimating that they were going to make 11 billion on this. It's thought that they are actually generating around 15 billion, and I mean, they did it with this dynamic pricing model that priced out the average fan. And then in some cases, and not as much as one would have thought, but in some cases there were empty seats in stadiums. But we definitely saw the exclusion of certain fans from certain countries, even referees that were not allowed into the country. Ananda, if we remember our Somalian brother Amar Artan, the treatment given to the Armenian national team was heinous. That's been talked about and covered by way smarter people than myself. And then, there's everything around El Caso Balogun, and everything that went on around there, the political meddling that went on around that. And then it's clear, for as much as FIFA wants to say that the World Cup isn't politicized, it very clearly is. I mean, politics has in essence infiltrated the very heart of football, and we saw it play out in real time. And I mean, we see a World Cup and a sport which is dramatically changing before our eyes. I mean, this is the first World Cup in which two halves were not played, but four quarters, and it's all because of money and power. This sport that we love is changing the sport of our fathers and our grandfathers. They would not recognize it, and it's kind of unfortunate. And I hope it's just this World Cup kind of thing. I mean, hopefully, 2030 in Spain, where they will be defending their title, Marruecos and Portugal, will be a different kind of World Cup, and it'll be more accessible. So I hope, we can take all that into consideration when we're looking back, 12 years from now on this tournament, and we can look at the good and the bad, because there were certainly both. And we have to be able to call that out as well. So, and again, there's way smarter people talking about this than myself. And you can read their work out there, but that was just like my little 2 cents on the World Cup experience being bittersweet, beautiful, and at the same time really dehumanizing for a certain subsection of people. So
Yep, dehumanizing, just like that travesty I watched on Friday. So
oh, damn, you went there. Okay, well, I'll get off my box, everybody, and if you want to hear more of these little Rob rants, all you got to do is subscribe. And we're super close to 900 subscribers, guys. We're only like 9 or 10 away, so hopefully you can help us get there. If you're listening to this pod and your significant other is there, be like, hey, let me get your phone, subscribe to the pod, help us get to 900 before the League's Cup gets started at the end of the month. Ananda,
come on, guys, 10 more, guys, 10 more.
Yeah, 10 more. Ananda's promising we're going to do something special. I don't know. I don't know what it is yet. So once we know, we'll let you know. So all that being said, smash that like button, that notification button, and that sub button. And yeah, like as always, we're relying on you guys to kind of like get the word out there. And as always, if you have something to say, if you have something to ask Ananda, if you have something to ask us, hit up those super chats. You know what to do. Anything else to add, Ananda, before we get into the shout outs?
Just you guys can follow me, block me, or stalk me at Cuna Galaxiana. You can see me or the tag there on the screen, and you can see Rob's as well. And he's also the Sad Foo Hours co-leader officially. That is his new title. Probably, Papa, the way it's looking, we'll have a few more of those than the contrary. So unfortunately, brace yourselves, Galaxy fans. It should be a fun next 4 games before the League's Cup
Should
break.
it?
And of course, Papa, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de Sad Foo Hours. Let's get it.
Yeah, well, let's start it off with a $2 super chat from an hermano GCam. Muchas gracias, GCam. And yeah, man, it's win, lose, or draw. Just want you to know it's always tuyo. Yeah, man. Anandita, man, it is all tuyo and all y'all Galaxy fans. Pero como tú dijiste, fue un pierde feo, una pérdida bien fea. Como el sol. You know what it is. If you know, you know. Anyway, shout out time?
Yes, sir.
Let's get it. According to the wonderful Matt Doyle, MLS made some moves, and they were the 6th best league at this World Cup. He said by any metric, but I think he was speaking just specifically of minutes in this still. And he says that they were the 6th best in the 6th best league in the World Cup in terms of minutes played. And that's even if you remove Messi's appearances and minutes, according to him. So that's pretty good. I mean, you have these are pretty much the major leagues in Europe and Major League Soccer. And I mean, there is quite a big dropout from Ligue 1 to Major League Soccer, but yeah, they're knocking, man. I mean, what do these leagues have, like 100-year head start? You know, and so this is one of those things where people go, hey, where's the growth of U.S. soccer in the country? Well, it's demonstrated here. Our domestic league is better than the Mexican league that also has quite a significant start. The Argentine league that ships out plenty of domestic talent every year, and had their national team go deep into the tournament and make the final, where they ended up losing to the eventual champion Spain. But now they're kind of impressive, Ananda. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit more data to come out from this data set, but just the fact that they're making that kind of move, impressive. The Galaxy have some international call-ups. Ruben Ramos Jr. and Big Dylan Vanny have been selected to represent the U.S. at the CONCACAF U20 Championship. And that starts on the 24th, going to next month on the 9th. Congratulations to Ruben Ramos Jr. and Dylan Vanny. Vamos. And now, Ananda, it is now time. I told you to save the World Cup stuff because we were going to give you your shine. We were going to give you your moment. And it was quite a moment. For anybody that was living under a rock and doesn't know what happened, there's the still. Spain are campeones del mundo. It took extra time, and quite a bit of that extra time was played with Argentina playing with 10 men due to a very, should we say, diplomatically aggressive challenge and foul by Enzo Fernandez. Argentina goes down to 10 men. Spain eventually gets the winner through Ferran Torres in the 106th minute off of, and I just noticed this in the replay and kind of preparing for tonight's show, that the only reason Nico Williams gets to that ball to head it back to Ferran is because he gets pushed. He gets fouled. So, I mean, that's instant karma right there. So, anyway, Ananda, Spain is champion. They were received by the Royals today, and it was great
And
because
like hundreds and thousands of Spanish folks in the
yes,
capital. So that was beautiful. I was watching that pretty much most of the day. My wife was watching that all day. She's I was telling you this backstage, guys. She's watching the final right now on Spanish broadcast because we couldn't get it to work when we were actually going to a watch party, and then something happened that didn't turn out, and then we ended up going to my wife's cousin's house. So, but anyways, yeah. So we're excited to say the least. That's for sure.
no, I mean, as you should be. I mean, look, for those of you who don't know, I mean, I was speaking to Ananda's Minister of Finance about this, and yeah, this is one of the things that I've seen her most excited about, as she should be. I mean, this is huge, and not only is it huge, but it came off the back of a worrying start. But we'll talk about that in 1 second. Ananda, we said that one word doesn't cover it, but we're going to start there. So let's get your one word for Spain versus Argentina.
Oh man, there's a lot. I can use a couple, but I think the one I'm going to lean into a little bit because I'm going to make a point about this is inevitable, just like Thanos. Spain were inevitable, and honestly, man, they've really been inevitable as a footballing nation for the last 2 decades. And I think we can talk. I'm sure you might ask me later about the game specifically, but I want to actually spend a little bit of time like giving mad props and like saluting all of everyone that's involved in the country in terms of football. So that's from the federation to the coaches to like coaches from all different levels. Because Papa, like that is a serious full footballing nation, and maybe the US can take some notes here. But when you have a clear style of play, a clear identity, and granted it was born out of really one major academy in La Liga, but that style of play like halos itself to the rest of the footballing world, and there's a commitment to it, not only financially but resources wise. And that's why like I know some of these coaches, like some of these coaches that teach young kids are, you know, some family members of ours and friends of ours and friends of family members. So yes, Marvin, that's actually right, but the thing is you need the players to do that, so we'll get to that part later. But you know, this federation like develops players like Rodri, develops players like Ferran Torres and Lamine Yamal, and it's pretty incredible actually. So I think a point that gets lost here is the credit that needs to be given to the federation as a whole, and all of the just everything like coaches, physios, like all of the infrastructure, because this is the result of what happens when you commit to a program and have a clear identity, so that the coaches
Message.
at under 5 teach football the exact same way as Luis de la Fuente. And you saw it, right? Like Luis de la Fuente was the under 19 coach. He won the Olympics with Spain, and then he got into the first team, won the Euros. I think he won some other tournaments. I can't remember his whole list, but you know, I heard who was talking about that in the celebration. There was a couple of players talking about that. Like we've been with Luis for forever, it feels like. And who needs Ancelotti and who needs Jose Mourinho when you've got a guy that understands these players inside and out? I think that needs to be commended for sure.
Well, there you have it, Marvin. There's the Vanny Ball. All right. Look, you used the word inevitable, and I'm going to be honest. It seemed like Argentina was inevitable. I mean, they were pulling out matches when they were being outplayed. I mean, if you ask a bunch of people, they were being favored and matches were being fixed for them and this and that. But let's operate within the world that we know for sure, right? They were finding a way to win. And so, like I said, for me, they felt inevitable. But against Spain, they looked pedestrian. Then they didn't register a shot on goal, at least in regulation. How did Spain do it?
I talked about identity just a second ago, right? And they stuck to it. And it's because they have not only the players, but the talent, the commitment, and the desire. And Papa, this is the thing about Spain, and everyone classifies them as a possession-based team that controls the tempo, dictates the tempo of the game, which is actually true. But the other side that people don't see is the work rate off the ball. Like Spain was the best off the ball team in this entire tournament. You look at it's not only about the back 4 and 5. And by the way, this is probably a message to like Galaxy too, but it's about how your team defends as an 11. You look at the way guys like Dani Olmo and Alex Baena and even Lamine Yamal like track back, like they pressured Argentina into mistakes. And so again, just like the Barcelona way of playing, they counterpressed the hell out of that Argentina team, and they suffocated them to give sloppy mistakes away in key areas of the pitch. And Argentina could not get out. The only times that they did get out was the ball came to Messi, and then there was a tactical. But even when Messi got past like Oyarzabal a couple of times, tactical foul, keep just dead play, move on. Like, and that was it. So I think not only were they the best offensive team, but they were the best. I mean, the record shows it, right? 1 goal given up, and it wasn't even about the back 4, because that was the big. Remember, we did the preview show, and I said the big Achilles heel for this team is probably defensively. That's the biggest weakness. But Papa, when you have work rate and commitment, like that off the ball and technical security on top of that, hard to beat.
Papa, we have Big Eli Loves Los Angeles in chat talking about how this team is kind of a carbon copy of 2010. I actually was going to ask you about what you thought of these champions versus 2010.
I honestly don't see much of a difference, and I say that through the lens of, and it showed today too in the celebrations, but really all this tournament, which is these guys are like brothers. Like this is a brotherhood. That's what I saw in 2010. And remember, in 2010, there was the backdrop of this. There was a political backdrop behind that too, of Real Madrid versus Barcelona, Catalonia versus the monarchy, right? There was a lot of those political undertones during that World Cup, and that World Cup united a lot of Spanish people. And the undertones were it wasn't as strong because there wasn't any like political, like, I guess, occurrences that are happening necessarily, but it's that same brotherhood that it's so uniting, and especially for people in Spain, that's something that you get behind. It's like un orgullo, right? Like you say it all the time about Ecuador. Like there is están orgullosos of their country and of what these guys did as a team, as a collective. Lamine Yamal was projected to be the star of this tournament, but he wasn't even technically. I mean, he wasn't even their best player. He didn't even have the best tournament, but it was about the team. It was about the collective, and it's because of the team spirit and the brotherhood that these guys have. So very similar to 2010, honestly.
Yeah, I read a headline the other day that I loved, and it said that the team is Spain is star power, whereas France had Mbappe and Messi has Argentina is for Messi. It was more about the team for Spain, even though they have Lamine Yamal. Like you said, he didn't have a spectacular tournament, but it could have gone so different, right? I mean, and you were always a believer, but there were people that were hitting the emergency sign after that performance to open the tournament against Cabo Verde. But after Cabo Verde, could you have seen El Título coming? Could you have seen this second star coming?
Like I said, it was. I think it was a blip in the road, but I know what this team's capable of. You look at, and again, it wasn't so much about the talent, but it was they have a really, really good coach that understands them, that manages them really well to a T. You have a clear footballing philosophy and identity, and you have the talent to do it. You have potentially a couple of Ballon d'Or, future Ballon d'Or, or past Ballon d'Or winners on that team, Papa. The talent is ridiculous, and you have a clear identity and a brotherhood and a togetherness. On top of that, you can't beat that, and that's why Spain and Argentina, that was the collision course that was meant to happen, because from a spirit and fighting spirit and collaborative brotherhood standpoint, those are the two teams, in my opinion, that had it the most. France to me was the most talented on paper. I even touted France as the winners of the World Cup from the beginning.
Yeah.
But they ended up being a team of individuals at the end, and they couldn't hack it when they came up against, well, the eventual winners, right? So
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned France. Thank you for that nice segue. Because when Spain was slated to play France, you were kind of worried about that match, and you talked about France's depth. And in the end, it came out that Spain was able to neutralize France as well, just like they were able to neutralize Argentina after they beat France. Because you did say if they're going to have a tough time against France, I think that France might beat them. After they beat France, did you feel it in your bones? Was it just destiny after that?
I mean, I'm gonna say so. Yeah, but hindsight's 2020, right? But like the longer that game went 0-0, and I'm just so glad Ferran like just came up huge. And like, talk about a guy who was slated for missing a sitter against Cabo Verde that should have opened up the scoring. That should have been a 2-0, 3-0 game from there. Hit what, couldn't score a goal to save his life, but when it came to the moment, he approached it and he knocked it out of the park. So that's a huge moment for him. What a great story. And now he can be sold to PSG for 200 million. So there you go.
Ese tío no va a tener que pagar nunca más una bebida en España.
Exactly. He's on the same. I was telling Primo Alex the other day. He was telling he's on the same level as Iniesta, papa. Fíjate, like piénsalo un momento. Same accomplishment as Andres Iniesta, Don Andres Iniesta, game-winning goal in a World Cup to win the World Cup for your team. So
that is nuts, man. Well, this team, I mean, Ferran, what is he himself like? He's what you got on his age?
Age-wise, I think he's like 26, 27. I'm gonna look it up right now. 26.
And he's one of the, I guess, veteran players of this team, because you have a very young core like Cubarsi, you have Lamine Yamal, you have Pedri and Gavi, who are like in their young 20s. And out of this team is built not only for this tournament but for the future. Could we be seeing, because they are the European champions and now the world champions, could we be seeing the start of a dynasty a la 2010?
I think you could. I mean, again, because Spain keeps producing players, Papa. They keep producing players, and that's a fact. And again, that goes to a testament of what I said earlier about all of the commitment and the investment in creating such a footballing nation and developing world-class players. And there's probably some guys in La Masia right now that we don't even know about. Some guys in the Bilbao Academy that we don't know about. Some guys in the Real Sociedad or Deportivo La Coruña. We don't know, like Victor Muñoz, right? Came out of those systems. Like, we don't know. We don't know what we don't know, but all we know is that this country produces world-class talent year in and year out. So why not? Why not?
And coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Spain, the 2026 FIFA World Cup champions, and also the Euro champions as well. So now they're pretty much champions of everything.
En femenina también.
Yeah.
So
and you saw Bonmati out there presenting the match ball, right?
Yeah, and Rodri was like, if I can be like Aitana, that's my goal.
I saw that, man. So
there's a lot of respect there. But yeah, I mean, again, it's just I'm like, that's why, like, honestly, this is like a side note, probably sidebar conversation you and I have had. You and I.
Ooh,
but man, like,
for you.
I would love to get my UEFA license out there and just learn. But anyways, that's another story for another day.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was about to say, like, I mean, the rumor is that while you were at the camp, you were showing some tips and tricks to Aitana, and so, like, confirm or not confirm, or is that like, did you sign an NDA,
Yeah, that I'm under NDA for that one.
All right, man. Well, you're just gonna have to tell me offline a little bit later, but all right, let's get to the official news here. Everybody knows the FIFA transfer window is open, or at least as it pertains to MLS, the MLS transfer window is open. If you didn't know, put you up on game. You should know. You got to know. It is open right now. It opened on Monday, July 13th, and it's closing on Wednesday, September 2nd. We've already had a couple of high-profile incomings like Alan Saint-Maximin, who went to Charlotte, and now we have former Manchester United defender Eric Bailly joining the Columbus Crew. Bailly, 32, joins on a free transfer after leaving Real Oviedo from La Liga this summer. And of course, Bailly's pedigree saw him suit up for Villarreal, Besiktas, and Marseille since his stint with United. Well, congratulations to Columbus Crew. Speaking as a United fan, you have a good one in terms of a guy, this capital guy. And by everything I hear from the way he is with his teammates, spotted defender. So
yeah, but let's talk about a guy who maybe not so good with his teammates.
Oh no, and I'm upset that we even have to talk about this. Look,
I'm upset we have to have this show after what we saw on Friday. But you know what?
This is the start of Sadful Hours. Apparently,
that's part of our job. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is the start of Sadful Hours. Apparently, because
here we go, chat. I'm ready for you guys to scream and chat about this one.
Well, first off, chat, sound off on this. How are you co-signing this? Are you not co-signing this? On a scale of 1 to I want nothing to do with this, let us know what you think.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, that sigh is definitely warranted. Well, if you don't know, this one got legs because Taylor Twellman mentioned during El Tráfico that Chucky Lozano was someone that the Galaxy should target with their DP spot, with their open DP spot. We have some interesting comments in chat already about this incoming or potential incoming, and T12s spoke about this, and I honestly don't think that there's much else beyond like preliminary talks, if even that. I mean, there are some reports, but I think the Galaxy know that you would hope that you would know that this is a big no-no. Ananda was very wise in reminding me that Chucky has been exiled from his current team. He hasn't played since last year, directly before the playoffs, when it's the stretch run of the season, and he's a talented player. He scored against the Galaxy. He was exiled. He was cast out, did not play in the playoffs. Apparently, he did something so heinous in the locker room that his teammates banished him and said they would rather not play with him. Head coach Mike Ivaris recently said that there was absolutely no chance that he comes back. So, again, he hasn't played since November and hasn't trained with that team, San Diego, since. So not only are you getting a player that hasn't played, but you're getting a player that doesn't play nice with his teammates. So all those things considered, chat, I see you're already talking about. So, Ananda, is there any upside to this? Is there any let's consider the pro? Is there a pro to this?
In my opinion, HE double hockey sticks, no. Absolutely.
Para nada.
Absolutely not.
Even if the money is like kind and he promises to be good.
Like, we're acting like there are no players out there to sign. Like, that's what we're acting like. Like, this would smell and reek of absolute desperation, which I don't think, like, thinking about the track record of Will Kuntz and the things that he talks about in terms of character and a great locker room guy and all these things that we associate with our signings ever since he's been on board, this doesn't track for me one bit. Like, this makes absolutely no sense from a footballing perspective, but especially from a team chemistry and locker room perspective. This makes absolutely no sense.
I have no disagreements with that. Yeah, I don't think that this is a wise move at all. Should they be even considering this? It's like, guys, know your audience a little bit. And just like Joe Trágico says, he's not even a marketing signing anymore. He's got no motion. He's been out. I mean, he at one point was one of the most marketable players in Mexico. And again, on his day, he's a good player, but he hasn't played since November. So how much, how ready to go could he be if you're trying to have an impact signing like Greg talked about? Side note, I do want to call out that I was you saw how excited I was about how excited Greg was about the signing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
That presser.
And I remember the words he was using was impact signing. We're going to have a couple impact signings, and then I started thinking back to a couple years back when he said a couple different times, we need a difference maker. We're going to make a signing. He's a difference maker. And then they signed a bloody Douglas Costa.
Good old Doug Costa.
And so I started thinking to myself, like, oh, man, have I been had again? Damn it. I hope I haven't. But
granted, that was a different front office. But yes, I see your point.
Yeah, no. But sure, yes, that is still a very Galaxy thing to do. But anyway, I think it's pretty conclusive. Everybody in chat is like, no to Chucky, I'm no to Chucky, you're no to Chucky. We don't make the decisions really, but like, again, know your audience. If you're gonna ask anybody out there in Galaxylandia, they're gonna be a hard no. But on the next guy, Mo Salah, you would probably get a hard yes from most Galaxy fans, except if you're looking at if you're watching online right now, or you're actually you can see the graphic. Yes, that is Mo Salah in a Besiktas shirt.
AI driven, by the way.
Yes, AI driven, but Fabio Romano, according to Fabio Romano, you guys know him. There is still proposals from MLS on the table for Mo Salah, but he appeared to be very close to signing a deal with Turkish club Besiktas, but there's still no agreement. Negotiations are still ongoing, so any team could get their foot in the door and say, hey, Mo, come through. And in case you're Ananda, remember when I was like, hey, I don't really think this is likely to happen. I mean, there's the San Diego link. Well, since we were talking about Chucky, San Diego just signed a new DP, and that gives them 3 DPs all signed up. So for them to sign a Mo Salah, they would have to make a move. I mean, they would maybe have to like move Chucky to the Galaxy so they can make room for Mo Salah.
Wave and stretch option like the NBA.
Yeah. So anyway, so yes, if you are following the latest on Mo Salah, that is what's been going on there. Ananda, anything to add on the Mo Salah?
All I have to say is it's so clear to me now. You've got look at think about the context of what's going on in the league right now. You've got Robert Lewandowski at Chicago. You've got Antoine Griezmann in Orlando, right? You've got all these. Obviously, you have Alan St. Maximin, who you talked about just a second ago. You still have guys in the league like Son, who am I missing? Well, obviously Messi, but like you have all these stars everywhere. And the Galaxy were a team always built off of star power, Robert. Like, I don't think a zebra changes their stripes overnight. And I know Will Kuntz, at least in 24, was trying to build this team. But to me, the star of that team was Ricky Puig, right? That was sort of the young mid-20s going into his prime star that you had. And to me, Mo Salah is to me, the only, again, this is maybe like in my head, but like he has to be the option. Like, this is the guy that I think will kickstart this team, because this team needs to kick up the backside at some level, right? And this is sort of like that signing that would give this team and Greg Vanney and everyone in the organization, including the fan base, belief, because that is severely lacking right now. It looks like in this fan base. And I think a signing like this would absolutely not only do that, but you think about, I saw a video the other day, I forgot who posted it, but like I think it was Lex. But I heard this interview before too. It's about Robbie Keane and how he purposely, like when he came into the Galaxy, like tried to raise the levels of the team in the locker room to basically raise the standards, right? Mo Salah would do that, in my opinion. He would 100% do that and raise the standards in this locker room, because right now Marco's trying to do it, but it's not coming off, right? It's not happening. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If I were a betting man, I would say it's not Mo Salah. Greg spoke at length about how the Galaxy success, when they were successful, was always a good young core, and I think they're going to try to bring in a younger CP, a younger U22, so they can go ahead and build that around, hopefully Ricky when he comes back, and kind of have them float the team until that does happen next year. But that's what I'm getting from what Greg is saying. And mind you guys, I kind of floated that scenario about, Chucky to the Galaxy, and then they get Salah. Like, I have no knowledge of anything. That's speculation. That was more of like a wild joke than anything. So don't get it twisted. But and honestly, I don't even think that would happen. It's more jest. I've said a couple of different times. I do think Will is brilliant, and so I'm backing him to get it right. But there have been times when the signing hasn't gone right. So again, a la Douglas Costa. Like Ananda said, different times, different administration, but still a Galaxy blunder. So let's hope for Galaxy fans that isn't the case for this transfer, because like Ananda said, this team needs a jump start. They have the players, I think, the complementary pieces, so that when the players that can be those impact makers do arrive, they will go ahead and bring out the best attributes in their teammates, and like Ananda said, raise the level. But anyway, it would have been nice to have those players in for the Galaxy's last match last Friday, because it was a shambles. And Ananda, I think this is where we have to talk about El Tráfico now.
All right. Let's do that.
Yeah, sorry. I was hoping you would say like, no, we got to talk about this first and then not have to talk about it. But I guess we have to now. Well, chat, if you're out there and alive and you haven't started drinking because of El Tráfico, go ahead and let us know. Give us your one-word reaction to the performance that was seen taking place at the Digs on Friday. Let us know your one word for this El Tráfico matchup. I did do a minuto about this and kind of wondered where it all went wrong. I kind of have my theories about it, but it'll be interesting to hear what you guys have to say. It is El Tráfico time, or MLS Match Day 16. And guys, if you didn't see the match, well, first off, consider yourselves lucky if you were a Galaxy fan, because you would have been nothing but hurt. The Galaxy fell 3-0 at home. It was a shutout. It was downright embarrassing. Actually, it was kind of sad to watch. But anyway, Ananda, let's start where we always start, with the starting lineup. What do you got to say about this starting lineup, man?
Yeah, we will. Well, I'm just going to read it out for the audio listeners. So Novak in goal. JT is still not ready yet. Maybe for the next game. Back four of John Nelson, Justin Haak, Jakob Glesnes, Mickey Yamane. Midfield three of Winder, Sergio Sanabria, and then front three of JP, Royce, and Eric Tommy. So I think this was the same lineup against America, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I think this was the same lineup. So again, I no surprises because it is what it is. Like this is all that Vanny has right now, right? Especially without Gabriel Peck. Like you've got to put another winger in there, and of course, I mean, unfortunately, Tommy had to get subbed out early.
Blood, that was depressing. Like he
that
just
was like
came
an
back.
omen. It was like an omen for me. I was like, I saw that and I was like, this game is not going to go well. Like that was already an omen. Like I already had a really bad like juju feeling.
Oh man, I felt so bad for him. He just came back. Like he started the season injured. He worked his way back, started getting a rhythm, got hurt, got better, and started this match and got hurt again. Like I mean, just a guy can't catch a break. And then afterwards, we saw him. When we were walking into the presser, he was on crutches, so that's not a good look. So I definitely wouldn't expect to see him against St. Louis. Of course, we'll get an official injury report, or hopefully get an official injury report from MLS before that matchup. But anyway, go ahead and finish up here with the lineup, man. I just had to throw my 2 cents in there for Tommy because I just felt bad.
No, that was it. I mean, the lineup is what it is, and I feel like this has kind of been a theme in the first half of the season too. But like with all the injuries and everything, like this is it. Like this is the lineup, because if you look at that bench, like other than Robert Taylor, you didn't have any attacking options either. Harbor Miller is supposed to be a right back. He's not supposed to be a winger, according to Greg, right? So I don't know. That makes me wonder too. Like I know they're trying to. I know Greg
makes me wonder.
I know Greg was talking about like, Dylan, they're probably going to loan him out. I mean, I was reading between the lines, but there's probably a development plan for him outside. But look, like I think the Galaxy could use a Dylan Vanny right now, to be honest. Like Ruben Ramos, just I'm going to use your words, like he hasn't been impressive. Like every time he stepped on the field, like there's nothing about him that is impressive. So not to the levels of even like a guy like Efrain or even Daniel Gire when they stepped in the start. Like they made a contribution, right? Like we're not seeing that yet from Ruben. But so the lineup is what it is, because this is all we got.
Yeah, tristeza. All right. Do you have anybody for your player spotlight, or is it just kind of like, no one really jumped out?
No one really jumped out because the team was the team was just awful. I don't know if you wanted to pick out anyone. I mean, honestly, like the most memorable thing that I remember was like I think in the first 10 or 20 minutes there was a double tackle by Royce. I was like, oh, he's up for this game. Like he was like pointing, directing traffic, and like he was one of the few that showed passion. I remember there was there was a tackle on the far side. Harbor Miller, and he like tried to G up the crowd, and he went like this when he came in the game, but that was before the first goal. And then those 2 goals in the first half just killed all the momentum. Just the Diggs was a library after that, unfortunately.
Yes, it was. But it's not a library up in here. It's popping up in here. Thank you, chat. If you are in here and you haven't subscribed to the show, don't be part of the 1/3 of people who come stalk the show and don't subscribe. Ananda has nightmares about that shit. So please do him a solid and subscribe to the show. We are 10 subs away from 900, so it would be so lovely if you could do us that solid. And now back to the show. Anyway, yeah, no, I the only thing I have to call out is, like you said, the first 15 or 20 minutes, Mickey Yamane was doing a really good job of getting into the attack.
Yeah, he was.
And they created a couple of good moments there, but it wasn't really to be. There was really nothing happening beyond that 15-20 minutes because LAFC exploited the Galaxy's weaknesses. Let's go ahead and get into a real quick match summary. Again, if you didn't watch this one, the Galaxy lost to LAFC at home 3-0, and it was a kind of one of those Galaxy type matches where the goals aren't good goals from the other team. I mean, the last one was probably the best one from LAFC, but that first match, you correctly called out, Ananda, that Nelson doesn't clear. It gets played into the box. Glesis tries to clear. It bounces kindly for Mark Delgado, and he scores the first goal. And from there, it was pretty much done. I mean, the Galaxy really didn't show a lot of fight after that. And we'll talk about the celebration in a little bit. But after that, it got even worse. The Galaxy give a penalty just before the half. Denny Bouanga steps up, converts. It's 2-0, and then, like I mentioned, they score a third. LAFC scores a third in the second half. Hyun Sung Min opens his account, and he chose the Galaxy to do it against, and the route was on. It was a shutout. So anyway, Ananda, anything to add here about this this match summary or what you saw?
No, I mean, what is there to say, Baba? Like, 3 goals, no answers, nothing. Just it was. I mean, if I'm Greg Graney and the coaching staff, like I'm literally just I have no I'm going back to the drawing board at some point because I have no idea what I just watched for the 90 minutes. So it was a disaster, like Nightmare just said.
Well, a couple of match stats. Robert Taylor made his Galaxy debut. He came out on the 65th minute. He had 1 shot on goal that was over the top of the net by a lot. Amiro came back and played in this one. First match back since May 13th. Julian Aure, first match back since April 23rd. And Marco Reus, the captain again in this one. But really, again, there was a lot of places you could point to where this one was won and lost. But the stats don't lie. And this is something that we've been calling out since the beginning of the year, or actually every time the Galaxy is successful, we point to this and say, hey, look, they won. It's because of this. And we called it out in our pre-match, in our One More Sleep with Defenders of the Bank the night before this match. I said the Galaxy have to be okay with ceding possession. If they aren't, they will get punished. And they were. So, Ananda, go ahead and clue us into your final box score and 1 key stat.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump into the key stat because I think that was the headline, right? I mean, you look at like even the XG. I'm surprised that, by the way, the Galaxy had that high of an XG. Like the Galaxy had 0 big chances, and with 60% possession, 0 big chances. Again, that's possession without a purpose. That's a complete opposite of what I was watching in Spain. This is what like frustrates me. Like, and remember, as with Spain, I'm a fan, and then I'm going to the Galaxy game in the capacity like to cover the team, right? Like for you guys, and so like, but think about it, like I'm just so frustrated. I had to like watch beautiful soccer one day and then just complete dross like the next, like the complete anti of what that outcome should be or what it should look like. But guys, like Rob just touched on it, the Galaxy are still winless this season when having more than 50% possession. That's 0-4-2. They're 5-2-2 when having less than 50% possession. And I think that's what Rob was talking about. He said it on the the One More Sleep pod with the Defenders guys, which is the Galaxy have to be comfortable with ceding that possession. You have to use the pace of Joseph Paintsil. Joseph Paintsil is not a tiki-taka player. Joseph Paintsil is a guy that will run in behind the back four and make center backs look behind them because he has the speed and that burst to do it. In tiki-taka, tight situations, small-sided games, not the best, right? So horses for courses, making sure you put your personnel in the right positions to succeed. And unfortunately, we haven't done that. And Rob, one last thing on this. I remember specifically before the World Cup break asking Greg the question about finding the balance between being a possession oriented side and hitting on the break. And Greg said his sweet spot was about between 50 to 55% possession. That's where he felt the Galaxy should be thereabouts, being comfortable in both phases of play. But in this game, you knew Dos Santos was going to set up in a low block. So me as a fan, I understand the fans' frustration, which is why then lure yourself into their trap, right? Make them play. LAFC isn't that comfortable in possession. Like MLS teams around the league have seen that. Like that's the tactic that they use against LAFC. So I'm just a little frustrated that the Galaxy pretty much played into their hands, in my opinion.
Ananda, I don't think this podcast is good for our listeners' health anymore. Apparently, we are driving them to drink. GCam says, I wasn't going to drink today, but I'm going to get a beer from the fridge. Big Lex says, I might join you, Gary. Sorry about it, guys. Didn't mean to do it. Well, this was this was a big reason this game was lost. The Galaxy didn't play to their strengths. LAFC did. So to that point, Greg was asked about, did the better team win? And
I heard some young, up and coming, good looking journalists ask that question.
Yeah. I'm not going to comment on that. But
I wonder who it is. Oh, it's this guy. I've heard of that guy, El Escudero. Yeah, I've heard of
yeah, no, but that guy's a hack. Don't listen to him. But anyway, chat, what do you guys think about this? Was LAFC the team that executed better, or were they just simply the better team? The comments in the socials were funny. They were interesting, and there were a lot angry. So I kind of informed myself on what the populace kind of believes through that, but I'd love to hear what chat has to say on this matter. Was LAFC the better team, or did they simply just execute better? Let us know. But Ananda, we did talk about Mark Delgado. I mean, he was the thorn in the Galaxy side. No matter what you believe, if LAFC was the better team or they just executed better, the eye test tells us that Mark Delgado was the catalyst for everything that LAFC did, everything good that was going through them. He ended up with a goal and an assist. Easily the player of the match. We did say, man, estábamos brujos, papá, porque sí dijimos. We did say that Mark Delgado would be the key player to watch for LAFC, and boy, did he deliver. The man scored to open the match, and he put it on a plate for Sonny to score the third. And what's really interesting here, Ananda, is that I asked Greg Vanny about this because previously when Mark had success with or against the Galaxy, he hadn't celebrated. And with this one, Ananda, he celebrated bigly, like big time. And I wanted to know what it was about. Of course, Greg didn't really get into it. But now we know that it's about this here. Our friend of the show, Enidosa, is quoted here. He has Delgado's quotes here. He says, if we want to talk about respect, that was thrown out the window when what happened last year. And Mark Delgado on playing against his former team. There's some history that tracks there, and that stays between me and what went on. It lights a little fire, and I get excited playing against them. And the key quote here is respect went out the window. Now, you might be thinking, what the blood happened? Well, there was some kerfuffle last year when the Galaxy presented Mark his ring. They had agreed with Mark that they were only going to keep it internal, or I believe just use it for the stadium. I'm not sure what the particulars were, but the point being that they kind of went back on that, and they or I guess there was a misunderstanding. I'm not sure if they went back on it. I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't know what the particulars were, but there was an understanding at the very least from Mark Delgado that it wouldn't be shared publicly, and it was shared on the Galaxy socials. And he caught heat from it from LAFC fans who were upset that he was, he got emotional and he cried about getting his ring, which is an understandable emotion because he put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for the Galaxy in that 2024 year. And he's spoken about very highly with by Greg and by Will Kuntz. So based on everything that chat, let us know. I mean, do you think the man was justified in celebrating, or do you think hey man, he was part of the history here? You never bite the hand that feeds. Don't celebrate. Let us know what you think. And Ananda, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this one, because you as an Arsenal fan, you have some very famous players that have left the Arsenal and played for other London clubs and stuff like that, and so you might have more of a reference to speak on this one.
Honestly, I really don't care. Like, but the thing is, obviously when the player leaves and they're on another team, they're an enemy. Like, I don't care. Like, even like Dejon's probably the guy that shows the most respect, right? That has the most respect for the team, for the fans, etc. But if Mark has a problem with it and the FO did something wrong, or the Galaxy, I mean, I understand it. Like, I understand it from either side. But for me, as like well, if I put my fan hat on, or even someone covering the team, like, doesn't matter to me. Like, all I care about is my team beats their team, and that's not happening right now. So it's like, I think people are kind of like maybe using that and attaching their feelings to that also. That's affecting the situation. But hey, he's an enemy now. Like, he's on the other side. Like, we got to move on. Like, we got to move on. So for me, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a much ado about nothing. I'm always of the opinion, maybe I'm old school. Like, hey, if you're on the other team, I don't care who you are, you're an enemy. Like, in those 90 minutes, screw it. Like, I need to beat you. Like, I was gonna use some X-rated stuff there, but yeah, I need to like beat the crap out of you, basically, on the field, right, on the score sheet. So
yeah, I mean,
let's move on.
There's kind of two ways of looking at it, right? Like, Sex of Vinyl actually has an interesting take. The fans, why he say fuck me for? Yeah, I mean, it's I get the emotion behind being upset for what happened, because it's not cool. Like, and if they had an understanding with them, it's not cool that they went back on that. But at the same time, me, man, I don't like inauthenticity, and I don't think that he would have been so bothered had it not gotten out there, and then he wouldn't gotten flack for it, right? I think the only reason he got upset about it is because he got flack for it. But his emotion, his reaction was authentic, and I don't believe that he should have to, deny that just because the LAFC fans were upset about it. And so I think two things can be true. The Galaxy handled this poorly, and I also think that it's okay to be authentic and say, like, yeah, I reacted that way because it was an emotional moment or whatever, and not have to, like, get upset, like, oh, that they put the whatever out. Like, get upset because it was the wrong thing to do, not because like it's basically like, for me, it's kind of like, he justifying, like, oh, my celebration with this. It's like, hey man, it's like you said, it's like small stakes ultimately. But anyway, moving along, the Galaxy sure looked like a team that had no ideas in this one, and it's because they really did have no ideas, because they are very much an incomplete team. They just didn't really have anybody to throw on. I mean, our colleague Damien Calhoun at one point put out a tweet showing a picture of, I believe, 6 defenders warming up. And he said, why so many defenders? So many defenders. And, well, why so many? Because the Galaxy are incomplete. They don't have the horses to run the race yet. Ananda, if you had to say, what are the immediate needs?
Attackers. We have no one that can put the ball in the back of the net. Like, give me a poacher, give me a winger, like attackers. Like, and also, I'm sorry, but like, I don't think a majority of our midfield right now are playing like starter level quality. And that's hard to say, but it's the fact that that's why I even told you, I know, as much as you didn't like it, I would have taken Casemiro in a heartbeat, bro. In a heartbeat. He immediately upgrades that midfield. So I think there's a lot of holes, unfortunately, and I think the Galaxy being in 9th place, given the roster, sounds about right. But right now, you got to find guys that will put the ball in the back of the net. And especially guys also that are comfortable in possession, like technically gifted, can play 1-2s off the box, can play off each other, have the intelligence to not only create space for themselves, but create space for others. Like I can go into a whole like coaching terminology spiel about that, because that's the way Greg likes to play. And so if you want to play the way the coach wants to play, like you got to get the horses for the courses. And right now it's, you don't, right? So there's just a complete mismatch from all the way from personnel, all the way to play style and everything like that. It's just not, it's not coming together, and the Galaxy need to fix that quick. Like those players, they need to come in through that door really quick, because the Galaxy are honestly kind of in dire straits right now. Like I feel like they have a just as good of a chance as falling out of the playoff spot than, rising up the table. Like I think they have a better chance of falling at this point with a lack of signings. They're completely incomplete, man. When you're playing a 36-year-old as a false 9, that's a number 10. That just tells you all you
false
need to know.
9.
That just tells you all you need to know, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a sad state of affairs when, like I said, I mean, you are playing Royce, a man with quality, but he is 35 and he is your starting false 9 striker. Really, there was no player spotlight. There really was no defending the batch either, except that I do need to call out young Harbor Miller for coming on and showing a lot of spirit, a lot of spunk, and a lot of fight immediately. So I did want to. I'm sorry. No,
which he always does. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Always come on. He always comes on and tries real hard. I didn't want to call that one out. And so I mean, he would probably be my defending the badge winner. And it seems like, Ananda, we do have a sponsor for our defending the badge winner at this point. It's Powerade, funnily enough, and they were actually the sponsors of the hydration breaks during the World Cup. And to give you guys time to like and subscribe to the show, speaking of hydration breaks,
and you guys were talking about not drinking. Well, guys, this is a time to raise your glass and enjoy, because we will be back in 27 seconds.
All right, that was fun. I think that's as the World Cup goes, so will the hydration break. So we've had our fun with you guys, but they're going to be hard to get rid of. They're going to have to get. They're in my heart now. Joe Trágico says, "Damn, Telemundo would never." Yeah. But they have a much larger budget than we do. So that's. Plus, I was thirsty, Joe 13 Cool.
I think we all were, by the way. I'm pretty sure all you guys are listening are having a beverage in hand for sure.
Stacks with the comment of the night. Yes, please catch El Señor de los Cielos. Una nueva temporada comenzando. Oh, I love it. That's how you know my man Stacks is definitely watching on Telemundo. Well, let's try to put the Tráfico behind us, because the Galaxy has another game in 2 days against St. Louis. This one is the 7th time these two teams will meet. The Galaxy is still looking for their first win against St. Louis. They come into this match with a 0-2-4 all-time record, and at home they have 2 draws and a loss against St. Louis. When St. Louis joined MLS as an expansion team in 2023. Since then, the teams have met 6 times. The first 3 matches ended in a draw, and there's goals in this one. Combined 12 between those matches. And last year, the Galaxy were beaten twice by St. Louis. They did the double over the Galaxy, a 2-1 home win. Oh, sorry about that. That was yes, that was a 3-3 draw. Apologies, I retract everything I said. The Galaxy earned a 3-3 draw on June 14th, 2025, and then João Klausu had to go off on the Galaxy before he joined the Galaxy, scored a hat trick against them. The stat I was trying to give you before was in 2024, the Galaxy lost to St. Louis 2-1 in St. Louis, and a 3-0 loss as well. St. Louis needs this one because if they win, they leapfrog the Galaxy in the standings. And they're coming into this one. Obviously they just played one match just like the Galaxy did, but their form before the break was pretty good as well. They come into this match unbeaten in their last 5, and they're looking to extend that now with their visit to the Digs. Let's look at the standings again really quick, Ananda. The Galaxy are in 9th place on 20 points. Still, even despite that loss, they have not moved from that spot, 1.25 points per game. However, they've scored just 6 goals in their last 5 MLS matches. St. Louis, they are on 15 matches. They've only played 15. They're in 10th place on 19 points with 1.27 points per game. As I mentioned, if they win, they leapfrog the Galaxy. They did win their last match 3-2 in thrilling fashion. They were up 2-0. Sporting Kansas City comes back to tie it at 2. Dejan Jovalic gets the goal there to tie it before Eloan gets the game-winning penalty in the 86th minute. That makes them unbeaten in 4. That's including before the break. That's 3 wins and 1 tie. And none of that problem that the Galaxy are having scoring. And on to St. Louis has scored 11 goals in their last 5 matches. So that's a little mini form guide for you. And looking at who the Galaxy might have available, Ananda, we haven't gotten any news on Eric Tommy, but obviously we know that João Klausu is still out, will be out until about mid-August. We have, for injuries and suspensions for St. Louis, we have Roman Burdick. That's huge for the Galaxy. He always plays lights out against them. Josiel Orozco and Celio Pompeu, they will be out for St. Louis. But I believe they will have available for them new DP Alex Matan, the Romanian midfielder, won MLS Cup with Columbus Crew in 2023, where he played under current St. Louis head coach Ioan Damet, who was an assistant on that Crew team. Matan had 6 goals and 3 assists last season for Panathinaikos in Greece, for those of you that haven't taken your Espanol Duolingo language lesson today. Ananda, let's look at who might start this one. Do you want to take the first crack at it?
Well, I have both up there. So basically, I'm going to read yours on the left, and I'm going to read mine's on the right because it's slightly different. But you had JT Marcinkowski in goal, so we're both assuming that he's going to be fit and healthy. You have a back 4 of Nelson, Yoshida, Glesnes, and Yamane, as do I. But this is where ours kind of differ. You have a midfield 3 of Hack, Sanabria, and Winder, with a front 3 of Royce, Taylor, and Paintsil, and I have a midfield 3 of Sanabria, Royce, and Hack. So Royce drops into the midfield, and I have JP at number 9 instead of right wing, Robert Taylor at left, and I have Harbor Miller actually on the right wing. So where do you want to pick mine apart here, Baba?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to give you, I'm not going to pick anything apart. I'm just going to say, like, I think
we don't have many options, put it that way.
Well, yeah, no, definitely. There's not a lot of options, but I think my rationale here was the fact that, Greg is going to need somebody that he can rely on to come off the bench. And that's Harbor, right? I mean, if you don't keep Harbor in reserve, you don't really have anybody off the bench that can come and give you some kind of a little spark, right? And it would be kind of preemptive to say that Robert Taylor has his trust yet, or he knows Robert Taylor yet. So I mean, I think he'll probably try to get what he can out of Taylor as a starter. Like, hey, go out there and try to make something happen. And then Harbor will come in and kind of either provide that offensive spark, or at the very same time he can go ahead and come in and play some defense if he has to.
Yeah, let's take a step back for a second, because I don't know if we mentioned it, but Cedillo suspended for this one, right? So we know Cedillo won't be in that midfield. So it's going to be a choice of either, if you move Hack, which is why we moved both Hack into the midfield. I agree with that. That's the Cedillo replacement. And then it's a choice of, you have Sanabria and Winder. I just think when Greg looks back at the tape against LAFC, and I think St. Louis, they're not going to set up in a low block necessarily, but they're not going to give you that much space. I mean, they set up actually with 3 center backs, but what was clear was that the Galaxy had no focal point in the middle. Like, Royce had to drop so deep. There was even points where he had to drop all the way between the center backs at some point to receive the ball and initiate the offense. So, and Joe was completely marked on that right side, right? Like, he had no joy, and it just didn't work for him. And I just feel like moving Joe back into the center might give some sort of speed and some sort of focal point and threat on offense, especially if you're on the break. And Royce being in that midfield will just help balance it. Because I just think, so basically what I'm saying is, I think Royce will help the midfield. It'll increase the performance level of the midfield. And I think Joe at number 9 will get him more involved rather than him being out in the touchline. I think Harbor, you play him on his natural side on the right side. He's a right back anyways. So what he's going to do for you is give you work rate. Marcel Hartle is going to be out there. There's going to be a wing back out there. Harbor will give you that work rate. Again, they play 3-4-3. So you're going to get outnumbered out there 2v1, 3v2 on a lot of occasions. And so I think Greg's going to look at the tape, and I think he's going to think about that. I could be wrong, and maybe that's just a hopeful, wishful thinking on my part, but I think he may look at that, because I know he experimented. Definitely Taylor. I actually could have put in Aude too, because I thought Taylor and Aude combined pretty well in the second half. Like, I know it was garbage time, but I think there was a little bit of chemistry built up there. So that could happen. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think the bottom line is, the takeaway is, we don't really have many options, do we?
No, definitely not. And you know what? St. Louis, as I mentioned, they've been not scoring for fun, but they haven't had trouble scoring. I mean, they have a pretty well balanced attack there. Edu Lawrence scored the game winner, 2 goals and an assist, and Marcel Hartel also has goals and assists in him, and Simon Betcher. I mean, they can all score, and not only that, they're getting production from Edelman and Zhang as well. The Galaxy are struggling with that, exactly that. Somebody to step up and kind of help shoulder the load for Marco Royce. Which brings us to the keys to this one. Ananda, fill in the blank here. And chat, I guess this is a good moment to let you know, hey, start putting in your predictions here for this one. LA Galaxy versus St. Louis on Wednesday at the Dicks. Let us know who you think is going to win and what the score is going to be. We will get to that in a moment. But before we do, Ananda, fill in the blank. For the Galaxy to win this match, they have to ...
I think the first thing they need to do is, and again, I thought this was going to be a theme in the second part of the season, but I think they have to be a strong defensive team. Like, they have to be really solid defensively. Like, they need to have that as the base, because right now, the way this team is configured and the personnel, we're not an explosive, high octane offensive team, or even a possession team. Like, we're not that. So if you're going to hit teams on the counter in certain moments, maybe not all, like Greg said, maybe his sweet spot's 50 to 55%, then you're going to have to be comfortable soaking up pressure, being super solid defensively, not have those individual lapses. Like, I was actually really disappointed by Jakub Glesnes' performance actually on Friday. He did not have a good game. He, not only that mistake on the goal, but he had a couple of moments where he kind of lunged out. He got nutmegged a couple times by Bouanga. Like, he didn't have a typical Jakub Glesnes performance, but I think for the Galaxy, they have to keep the score down, Papa. So they have to keep this as a 0-1 goal game for St. Louis for them to even have a chance of thinking about winning this game. Because if that doesn't happen, I think their offense, like the Galaxy right now, are just, a 1-2 goal team max. Like they don't have an explosive offense, so they have to hang their head on the defensive side, and that's where it starts for me right now. At least this current version of the Galaxy.
Whew. I mean, you took a lot of what I was gonna say.
That's cool. Great minds think alike. You can repeat it.
Nah, but I guess I'll just keep it kind of a lowbrow and say pone huevos for the Galaxy to win this match. They have to pone de huevos, bro. Just like they have to forget about El Tráfico the other day, and they have to come out with a chip on their shoulder and say, like, this is for. Oh man, I can't believe I'm going to say this. For as much as we know that who this team is, but they have to come out and say this isn't us, and we need to play better. Right? They need to take the shit personally, and they need to show the anger that the fans show. Right? When they get beaten, they have to take that into the match.
I'm going to quote Marco Royce, man. I think to boil it down, they need to hate losing. They need to hate losing more than they like winning. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's that's missing, like that intangible, whatever that is, whatever word you want to use for it. Like it's just not there. Like the fighting spirit isn't there. Like the comebacks and the wanting to get back into games and having the ability or the know-how to get back into games tactically and stuff. Like it's not there. It's not, the Galaxy aren't in a good place right now. But like I said, they got to keep the scoreline low. Like if St. Louis, if they come out and score 2 goals again in the first half, it's gonna be another shit show. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, that's what the Galaxy need to do to win this match, according to us. A couple of nobodies. But let's look at some win probabilities, Ananda. I know that Dr. Raquinho was at the World Cup final. He was actually invited into the VIP area by El Fenomeno Ronaldo. And so I know that he came back just in time to get this prepared with you, and you guys met up at that birdhouse making class that he told you about, and you guys also knocked this out. So take it away.
All right. I just want to know what was in the juice in the hydration break. But anyways, so win probabilities here. So Galaxy St. Louis, Papa, Galaxy 50%, 49.2% win percentage. St. Louis as the road team, 27.2%. And just for your guys' predictions, so a couple of Opta stats for you. Galaxy have won just 1 out of their last 5 MLS home games. Remember when Greg said that when the Galaxy can't lose any more home games, they need to make the digs a fortress? Well, that unfortunately has not happened yet. There have been at least 3 goals in the last 5 matches between LA and St. Louis, so it looks like 0-0 is probably not in the cards for this one, Papa. At least 3 goals, so yep. So it's probably like
3-0.
Exactly.
Let's actually give it a good prediction here. I just Ananda, since I went first last time, that's you first this time.
Yeah, you didn't, but it's okay. I can go first. Actually, we're both wrong because I'm waiting for chat. Put your score predictions so I can be right about this and Rob can be wrong, and because chat always goes first, I'm just expecting like a 10-0 St. Louis City kind of thing.
No, I think we had one. I think we had a
maybe I missed it.
St. Louis. Yeah, we have a nightmare 3-0 because Galaxy forfeit.
Oh, nightmare. Yeah, nightmare 3-0. GCAM 2-0 St. Louis.
Dak says Yoshida gets a goal off a corner. Painso gets a goal from a Taylor assist. Mitrovic blocks everything, so that looks like a 2-0 as well.
Yeah, and then I had a couple of 2-0s. Lex with the 1-1. Hey, all right, Lex, a little bit of faith in this team. Man, yeah, I think I'm gonna go against the. No, actually, you know what? No, I'm not gonna go against it. I think I'm gonna go for the same prediction as El Tráfico. I'm gonna go 2-2. I'm gonna go with the history a little bit, and I'm just gonna go with the fact that somehow, some way, the Galaxy are gonna figure it out and score 2 goals. Maybe Joe gets isolated with one of the three center backs because that's where we really want him. Again, the St. Louis are going to push numbers high, and they always play like a pretty aggressive style. I haven't watched many of their games ever since they got this new head coach, but historically, St. Louis has always been a pretty aggressive team, a combative team. They hit you on the break, like especially when they had Klaus. And yeah, I mean, look, they're coming into this unbeaten. So I think they want to do everything that they can to keep their win streak going. And yeah, this is not going to be an easy game. Like I can easily see the Galaxy losing this. So maybe this is a hard pick. 2-2. I'll just because.
Oh man. Like you said, there's goals in this one, at least 3.
Yeah.
And I like a world where Joe 13 Cool is right, and it's 2-1 G's, and Taylor gets his first goal of the season to get us going, and he becomes that good low budget option that Greg needed, right, until that DP comes in. That's the world I want to live in. I want to write a good story about how the Galaxy, came out and overcame their El Tráfico woes to get a win at home midweek. But I don't know, man. I think 1-1, like Brother Lex was talking about, is probably a safe, sane pick, and that's kind of what I'm going to go with. 1-1. Yeah, 1-1.
With Yoshida and Glesnes back there. I mean, look, I think, like I said, Jakob has to pick up his performance. I think that was probably one of the worst individual performances I've seen. So I don't expect that again. I hope I'm right about that. And then Yoshida, I mean, we haven't seen him in a while. Let's see how he performs, right? I mean, obviously, you know how some of the fans feel about Yoshida and saying that he's washed and he's done, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see. But again, like I said, I guess I'll figure it out when I see that starting lineup, and it's going to be interesting to see. Like the thing is, Papa, like first 20 minutes of LAFC, like Tráfico, like I was feeling okay. Like the guys seemed up for it, right? We saw a couple hard challenges from Lucas, double tackle from Marco, sliding challenge from Harbor, but it's like the frailty of this team when they go down, like it's just. I know Josh probably has the record of the Galaxy when they don't score first, like they need to score first, right? So that's probably what I should have said. That's probably what I should have said. For the Galaxy to win, they need to score first. Like they absolutely have to score first, right? More so than the defensive thing, because that I know you read the stat that streak is broken now of the Galaxy. The Galaxy like scoring a goal in X many games,
like 26 or something
like that. But they got to score first. They got to G up the crowd in some way, and it's going to be midweek, so there's going to be less attendance. It's not going to be El Tráfico anymore, so they got to G up the crowd in some way. No pun intended. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, let's see what happens, y'all. That will be the end of tonight's little show, the humble little podcast that could, or that hopes to, anyway. Thank you guys for not canceling us again. That's much appreciated. If you've made it this far, let us tell you what's coming up. On Thursday, July 23rd, we'll be back with you to cover and react to the Galaxy's midweek match against St. Louis City. That same night, we'll also be previewing the Cali Clásico as the G's take on the original old enemy, San Jose, on Saturday, July 25th, on the road. And then on Monday, July 27th, we'll be reacting to the Galaxy's win, loss, or draw from the weekend's Cali Clásico. So keep it locked here with La Cuna Galaxiana. Y'all know what to do to keep it locked. Go ahead and like and subscribe to the show. We are so close to 900. Help us get there, y'all. Ananda, anything else to add before we get out of here?
No, just obviously showing my love to chat. Thank you guys so much for sounding off, just being with us. I know maybe this is like therapy for you guys too, as it is for Rob and myself. Again, I'm so glad that Spain won the World Cup, because otherwise I don't know how I could have been handling this show, but at least that was a bright spot in an otherwise very long weekend. And I know, like, I saw it in the stadium, and I saw it online, and I know a lot of you guys that listen, like, I know you guys are frustrated with this team. I mean, as am I. Like, I'm trying to I'm trying to keep it together in the press box because I didn't know what I was watching. Like, I was like, what the hell is going on? And like I told you, like I went from watching beautiful football to Spain, like against France, right? And then watching the Galaxy thereafter, and then watching beautiful football again. So, but as always, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. By the way, if you guys see us on Wednesday again, we've got stickers for you guys. And yeah, just come say hello, what's up? And yeah, the only thing I have to left to say when you have sending it back to you, because you only have 1 or 2 things left to say. I don't know how many, because you always trick me with that. But yeah, all I gotta say is buenas noches, cuneros. We love y'all. Y viva España. Vamos.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll start by saying yes, que vivan los campeones. Everybody that knows me knows that I love to talk about how the original Jalón family came from Spain, and there's a little town in Spain called Jalón and everything like that. So one day we will get there. One day we will see El Rio, and it'll be beautiful. So congratulations to Spain. Spiritually, I was there with y'all and my ancestors. It was a wonderful time had by all. Viva España. And then I'll leave you Cuneros and you Galaxy fans with this. After a decade, the Galaxy finally won a title in 2024. I don't believe that the bad times will be as long as the decade this time. Keep the faith. Keep your head on a swivel, though. Make sure that you are continuing to call out BS that you see, because you're fans and you deserve it, and you deserve to be heard. And you, if not you, who will hold the team accountable? So, that's also why we're here. But the large power starts with y'all. And like I said, keep the faith, because I do think that Will's going to get it right, and I do think that he's going to bring in a good signing.
Come on, Mo Salah. Come on.
Yes. And when that great signing comes in and is that impact player that Greg Vanny wants, he's finally going to be able to make this team tick. That is my fervent hope, and hopefully that comes to pass for Galaxy fans so that they can get some happiness back into their lives.
Mo Salah and Borja Iglesias as the TAM. Come on, make it happen. Speaking to existence from my lips to the Lord's ears.
Vamonos. Well, that would be lovely. And hopefully that you see that in your dreams this evening. And speaking of sweet dreams, that's where we will leave you. We only have one thing left to say, and that's G's up. Woo!
Queremos chat. See ya.